Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester is red. Manchester accents apart and it's a very poor one. Manchester is red. And what a week it's been for Manchester United. What did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer get right this week as we review what has been two fantastic results? But for me, I just want to cut through. We've slept on that Manchester result. Some of us got a bad head from it, but very enjoyable. But I want to just say this. I was watching a lot of the fan cams and they're all going, that's a 10 out of 10 performance from Solskjaer and that's the best we've played under Solskjaer. I tell you what, for me, I agree, but I also think let's not run away with ourselves because that first 3 months under Solskjaer is better than anything he's ever done. And I don't want to ever forget that. The fluidity, the consistency, everything we lack now, we had in that first 3 months. And what I'm hoping is that after these two fantastic results, we're going to go and get that again. And I think that the things that we need to take from this result are the positives. We all know what the negatives are. We're not consistent. We are a big game team and we struggle against teams that sit back on us. If our plan A doesn't work, we struggle to get results. And the contrast is there, it's very clear. I think to take away from that Manchester derby, let's look at the contrast. 3 points against Man City, 3 points against Chelsea, 3 points against Leicester, 3 points against Tottenham, a draw against Arsenal and a draw against Liverpool. Apart from us, that is the top 6 and we've taken 14 points from 18, which is, that's title winning form. Well, it's not really because Liverpool have beaten all of them apart from us, but we should be second in the league with that sort of form. But we're not. We've had our worst start in years and that is because of the amount of losses we've had against teams we never should be losing to, because of that lack of consistency and that lack of fluidity and the inability to have a plan B. And that's what we need to take from these results. For me, I think that's significant last night. I think I actually do feel that we will go and beat Everton next week. We will beat Watford away. We will beat Newcastle at home on Boxing Day and we will beat Burnley 2 days after that. And then Arsenal New Year's Day becomes a massive game because I think by that point, if we take 12 from 12, we will be in the race for top 4 and it's a January transfer window. And I think we'll go to the Emirates and win because I think if we win the next 4 games with the January transfer window, we'll be in that. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that sort of manager. I think what we crave is some consistency, but he is very much a groove manager. Not groovy, he's a groove manager. He gets into a groove. That first 3 months, he could not stop winning. Then for the last 6 months, we've been very, very inconsistent and actually we've probably been leaning more to losing games. Now we've won 2 games, I think we're going to go on a run again. But then when that run stops, will we go in a bad run? We desperately need some consistency. But it's exciting times and we should embrace it. And it almost feels like Solskjaer put his Christmas tree up and everything went positive. I wish it could be Christmas every day with Ollie because around Christmas time and New Year we do very well, although we've only had 2. But it's interesting as well. I was reading yesterday that Roy Keane had been invited down to Carrington by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to talk about what it means to be a Manchester United player. I don't know whether that happened. It's been reported that it happened, but when did it happen? Because there's a definite change in Manchester United over the last 2 games. My fear is that it's because of Mourinho coming back and it's because it's a Manchester derby. And to be honest with you, it's easy to get up for those sort of games. And people don't understand that statement. It's easy to get up for that sort of games. But I suppose it's a bit like your working week. If you work Monday to Friday and you get Saturday and Sunday off, it's very easy to get up on a Friday morning knowing that you've only got 1 day in work and then you're out on the piss with your mates. It's very easy to get up on a Saturday morning and know that you're off, isn't it? I mean, Sunday's a bit crap because you're thinking about the next working day. But it's about getting up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with that same passion and excitement that you get up on a Friday. And that's what United's problem currently is. We've got to find that fluidity. We've got to find that consistency. And you all know that. You all know that. But look, in relation to the game yesterday, what did we take away from that? We take away from that Pep is arrogant. And Pep is very arrogant. And Pep thought, I'm playing at the Etihad. I can win this game of football. It doesn't matter what United do. I'm not going to take much notice. What were we saying as a fan base? And to be fair, what were some Manchester City fans saying? United actually suit playing Man City very well. And a derby is a great leveller. And if all those United players play up a level, then it's going to be a tough game for City. And City, the first few minutes, it was very 50-50. And then we took hold of that first half. But we took hold of that first half because we defended reasonably well in the first half. We defended superbly in the second half. We defended reasonably well in the first half. And what we did do is we bypassed their press and ended up with situations where it was 3v3. And with our front 3, or sometimes 4v4 with Lingard, you're going to hurt teams. And then people say that's our best performance. I just want to say, let's not be let's not be sensationalist and live in the modern day. Let's go back to Arsenal away at the end of January. We beat them 3-1 in the FA Cup. He had Rashford and Martial on the bench, and he played Lukaku and Sanchez, but he played Matic holding, Herrera and Pogba box to box, Lingard behind Sanchez and Lukaku, who sort of split and went right and left. And we played a very similar performance and we won the game 3-1. And Arsenal put a strong team out. You know, Arsenal played their strongest team. And we were like, oh, we're playing Lukaku and Sanchez. But it worked really well because what we did is we soaked them up and then we exploited them on the break. And Lingard, like he did in that game, played very well at it. He's very good at just getting the ball. If Lingard's got space in front of him, he becomes a decent player. Lingard, against teams that sit back, he hasn't got the brain to pick a defence apart and he hasn't got the space to run into. But against Man City and against Arsenal back in January, where he's spinning in that number 10 position and he's got space to drive into and find a pass, it works really well. And I thought there was a lot of similarities between January Arsenal game and Man City last night. But obviously Man City last night was more important and more significant because it was a Premier League game and Man City are the Premier League champions and Arsenal are a mid-table club at the moment. But what I want to say is this is nothing new. This is what we can do. This is what he did for 3 months and this is what I'm hoping we're going to get back to now. It's that fluidity in the front three. If you can get the ball quickly from back to front and exploit the spaces at the back, that is Solskjaer's Plan A. And we've seen it every time United have played well. And I would put that Arsenal performance in the top 5 with that performance with Manchester City we've just seen. Manchester United work well when we do that. Of course, what I am going to say is this is just the start. This is not let's start singing Ollie's at the wheel. Even Gary Neville said it last night. It gives him breathing space. It doesn't change a hell of a lot because he's still got to go and get those results against the teams outside the top 6. That's where you become a top 6 side or a title challenging side, and that's what he's got to do. And he still hasn't figured out how to beat those teams. I'd be more impressive if we went and beat somebody like Burnley over Christmas 3 or 4-0 away from home, because they're a team that are going to sit and park and hit us on the break. And Newcastle will do it on Boxing Day, and Watford will probably do it as well, and Everton might do it. So if we can take 12 points from the next 4 games, I'll be more impressed with those than I will with the Manchester Derby. And that's saying something because we know we're a big game team. It's the Friday morning get up, isn't it? It's, yeah, come on, let's go. Get in the shower. I'll have a cold one. I'm not bothered. We're very good at that. It's getting up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that's what we've got to do every game over the next few, and that will be more important. Ollie's got to find a plan B. That's what we take away from the last week. We all know his plan A is soak up pressure, hit teams on the break quickly, and it's nice to watch. But it's not good. It's not something we can build a team around because that won't work against 75% of the league. It works against the top 25% who want to attack us. You know, Chelsea, Leicester, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, they all want to attack us. And we sit there and go like a sponge. Come on, pour it all over us. We're going to soak it up and squirt it in your face. And that's what Manchester United do. We're brilliant at that. We'd probably do quite well in the Champions League at the moment because against those teams that want to attack us, soak it up, exploit the space. There's a very easy way to stop United though, and the lesser teams do it. Newcastle did it, West Ham did it. Sit back yourself and hit them on the break, and you have this stalemate, but it doesn't stay as a stalemate because United then they almost have the onus, the responsibility to attack, and then we get caught out. We've got to find a way to do these teams that sit back against us, and that when we do that, then we'll know how good Solskjaer is. Because for me, I'm over the moon. I feel that we might be on the start of something. I think we're going to go on another good run, and that makes me excited. I feel like I did last sort of January time, and I never thought a week ago Ollie could do that. But I do agree with what a lot of people said. I ain't changing my opinion because 4 days ago I wanted him sacked, and 2 wins later I'm like, yeah, he's the man. We've not proven what we need to prove, and that is against the lesser teams. And Ollie knows it and the players know it. And I think as we go into January, I'm very excited about it because there's 2 things that I think we really need to focus on here. The January transfer window becomes very important. I've got a video going up on that later on tonight. It becomes very important because this is Ollie's first January transfer window. It's his first transfer window, really. Harry Maguire was an obvious signing. Wan-Bissaka we'd been working on for a long time, and Dan James was recommended by Ryan Giggs. Whoever we sign in January is going to be totally on Ollie, so that's exciting. And also the second thing is, what we really did pick up from the game yesterday was that when McTominay plays, we're better. When Fred gets injured, we're worse. When McTominay gets injured, we're worse. When Martial's not there, we're worse. And when Rashford's not on form, we're worse. Those 4 players make Manchester United tick at the moment. Rashford, Martial, Fred and McTominay are very important. And I wouldn't say they're more important than Wan-Bissaka, who was just godly yesterday. He was superb. But if he gets injured, he's a right back. You can find a right back. If a centre-back gets injured, we can find a centre-back. But if McTominay or Fred get injured, you're going to have to play Matic or Pereira, and they're done. If Martial or Rashford get injured, you're basically using people like Greenwood, who, that's unfair on them. So United, January, we know what we need. We need a striker and we need some midfielders, because if we don't buy in January, I already think the club let us down in the summer anyway, but that would be a disgrace, because we've got an opportunity, as long as Ollie takes this up, because we have got 4 games before the January transfer window, but if we take maximum points or 10 points from them, we're in a top 4 race. The club have got to spend the money. We are so thin in the midfield and up front. And what we've seen is, and I've said this myself just to expand this point, how important are Martial and Rashford? We've all got players that we're not sure about, and I want to talk about that. But Martial and Rashford, I said this when we signed Alexis Sanchez, I was very happy. 2 months later, I was like, look, I think Sanchez is a good player, but if I'd known he was going to play on the left wing and stunt the growth of Rashford and Martial, I never would have wanted him. And that's what Mourinho did. Under Ollie, he's made Martial and Rashford front of house. They are the stars of the team when it comes to attacking. He's got rid of Sanchez, he got rid of Lukaku, and Ollie put faith in Rashford and Martial. I think with Martial, apart from the injuries, we've seen the massive improvement. With Rashford, it's taken a little bit longer for him to take on board because Ollie was a striker. But over the last month, 6 weeks, we've seen from Rashford what we've seen from Martial this season. A real improvement as a forward. And that's what you get with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he was a great forward. And those 2 players are so important to us. Rashford won the penalty yesterday. Martial made the second goal and killed the game. They are massively important to us. But if they pick up an injury, we're in trouble. So we need to go and get a forward as well. And in relation to what we learned yesterday as well, in relation to the injured, in relation to the players you don't like, look, for me, is there a player on the pitch I don't really rate? Yeah, Lingard. I don't really rate Lingard. Yesterday, played very, very well. A lot of you don't like Luke Shaw. Yesterday, he did get better in the game and we needed him. Young can't play 2 games in a week, and it would have been a tough game to throw Brandon Williams in. Lindelof, a lot of you've turned your back on him. I thought he was one of the best players over the last 2 games. Brilliant performance from him. Harry Maguire, there's a lot of questions about him. He was the captain yesterday and he organised the defence. So all these question marks that we had, everybody stepped up to the plate yesterday, and they're going to have to do that a lot more. A lot of these players have lost the confidence of the fans because of their mistakes and their poor performances over this season and towards the end of last season. But yesterday, they showed what they can do. Lingard yesterday, look, if Pogba's back, I play Pogba. If we sign a player, I play them. But Lingard off the bench, playing like that, happy for him to stay. And he is going to stay. And that's what you want to see from Lingard. He's got to take the responsibility. It's all right him saying, I don't read the papers, this, that and the other. As long as you're aware you've not played very well for 2 years, that's fine. And you start playing like that consistently. But that's the same for the whole team. As I said, we were 2-0 down against Man City a couple of years ago. We beat them 3-2. Everyone was buzzing. We beat them 3-2 in the second half from 2-0 down. The very next game at Old Trafford, we lost it to West Brom, who got relegated. This Everton game and the Watford game, they're huge. Even AZ Alkmaar on Thursday, if we lose to them, we finish second in the group. So that's a game we've got to win. So these games are bigger than these 2 games, which have been absolutely great. On the subject of Paul Pogba, I do want to add this into the sort of what Solskjaer got right, because it wasn't Solskjaer's decision not to play Pogba, but I think what we've seen with Pogba is that we've had to get on without him for 3 months now. And I would put this to you. Do you think that Pogba really is or should be part of our future? I mean, he wants to go. He will play again. I'm interested to see Pogba playing ahead of Fred and McTominay, because I don't want to see, and I think we've definitely have to take that on board as well, Pogba should never play if Fred and McTominay are fit, because they are way more consistent and they're better defensively and they're better in the tackle. Those 2 have got that position until we bring in some reserves, because Matic ain't coming back, Pereira can't do it, and I don't want Pogba there. I want Pogba to drop into the Lingard role, and then if he does well in that position, it's down to him whether he stays at the club or if he goes. But part of me thinks, you know what? If he's not committed to the cause, is he really worth bringing back into the team? Going back to that Roy Keane thing, apparently there was one player who really wasn't interested and looked disinterested in what Roy Keane was saying. One player. I don't know who it is. People will speculate, but it probably wasn't Pogba. But if it was Pogba or it wasn't, it doesn't matter. If Pogba wants to go, is he a player that you want to drop in to that Manchester United team? I do, because I want to see what he can do in that number 10 position. But if he doesn't want to be here, we could solve that very quickly. Forget Pogba. You could go and buy a number 10 in January, drop them straight in and say, off you go, Paul. And that's something we need to address from not just the Man City game, But the Spurs game, we've gone and won against two decent sides without Paul Pogba. And if he doesn't want to be here, maybe now is the time to go. Off you go, Paul. Maybe it is. I don't know. But really, really, really impressive from Manchester United. And I think what we need to take from this is that we have to move on from this. The fluidity, the consistency is exactly what Manchester United need. And in many ways, I think, look, I think he's ended Pep Guardiola. I do. I mean, look at City. They're awful. And I know they're still 8 points ahead of us, but they are awful. And I think that result will go down as the one that really ended Pep. I think he's gone very soon. I think he'll be gone in the summer. I don't think they're coming back from this. So that's significant for Ollie to do that. He's got a very good record against the top six this season specifically. It's now about going and doing it against the others. And what I would say to everybody is, embrace it, feel good. I honestly woke up this morning. Last night I was in a bit of, wow, that's amazing. You just enjoy an amazing win that you weren't really expecting. This morning I woke up and I just feel excited. I feel like we're on the start. I feel like we're going to go and do what we did last year. I feel like we're going to go on a big run again. What we need to make sure if we do go on a big run is that we do go on a big run and we keep that run going. We can't be a yo-yo team. We've got to find that consistency, and we all know that. And the way we're going to do that is not by playing like we did in the last two games, because people will figure that out. They already have. Everybody knows Ollie's plan A. We've got to find a plan B. I would say Pep was arrogant. I would say Mourinho got ahead of himself. You know, that's why we beat them with the system we always use. But against other teams, they're just going to sit back and go, we ain't going to give you the space to hit us on the break. Everton won't come to Old Trafford and leave themselves 3v3 at the back. Neither will Watford. So we got to find a different way of doing that. And that's why Pogba could be very important. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video. We've got a transfer show coming up for you tonight. Really, really happy, really excited. And what I would say is, if you're still Ollie out, I do respect that, because why should you change your mind after 4 days? For me personally, I still do not think he is the man to win a title for us. But as I've always said, I'm happy to be wrong, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go. But he has bought himself some breathing space, and he deserves it. And let's see. I think we've got exciting times. But we've got to go and win these games over Christmas, and we've got to do business in January. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all later.